super high tech. Do you have to disconnect first?
Yeah, let me.
All right. We'll get going. Just, I'm curious, how many of you guys have heard about Fuse Play, heard about what we're doing? Maybe you've seen us present at 1 Million Cups previously. Show of hands. Okay, how many of you have not? Raise your hand. Okay, that's going to help me know how to present. So that's good to know. All right, so like Andrew said, my name is Christine Muir. I am a co-founder and CEO of Fuse Play. I co-founded the company with my brother Kyle. Wish he could be here today. And what we have made is a programmable, hackable Frisbee that teaches coding to kids. We've been doing this for about 2.5 years. It's been sort of an epic process. We just got products shipped and fulfilled at the end of December. And for the past few months, we've just been hustling sales hard. So I'll jump straight into the problem. So really, as a mom of 3 girls, I started realizing as my daughters were asking about coding and robotics, I started realizing there was a gap for coding skills for a parent like myself who had no background in technology, computer science, anything like that. And what's been interesting as we've gone through this process, I just hit play.
There we go.
What's been interesting as we have jumped into this process is that educators, specifically pre-K through 6 and even pre-K through 12, educators have that exact same gap. So it's not just a parent thing, it's kind of a world thing, these skills gaps that are happening and people working together to try to figure out how we as adults who lack these skills are going to be able to educate and help close those skills gaps for young kids. Right now, skills gaps are it's pretty epic. You have high schoolers who are working and doing computer science, coding, robotics at the same level as 5th graders. And we really believe that here in the next few years, things are going to change as those skills gaps close, and you're going to have 3rd graders, 5th graders, even pre-K kids who are able to not just do drag and drop code blocks, but actually doing text-based coding. And so it's our mission to give kids the tools they need to satisfy their curiosity and to teach them the skills they need to roll up their sleeves, go into the world, contribute, and make the world a better place. And our solution for doing that, and the name Fuse came from wanting to fuse online play with offline. I wanted to fuse parent to child. I wanted to fuse community to industry. I wanted to fuse educators to students, and so many different things that need to get brought together. Right now, another issue that's happening is you have colleges, you have higher education, and then you have secondary ed, like middle school and high school, and then you have elementary ed. And right now, one of the biggest problems in education is those groups of people aren't working together to collaborate, to help each other. And so one of the big initiatives we're working on right now is fusing higher ed to lower ed. So we were actually just at the underwater robotics competition last week, and we worked with some BYU students who took Zuby Flyer, which I'll talk about in a minute. They did some rad projects, and then we brought that to the elementary schools that we're working and partnered with. So it's been an exciting journey of fusing a lot of things in community. And this is Zuby Flyer. Maybe I should have introduced this from the beginning. And Zuby Flyer is a Frisbee. And a lot of people ask, why a Frisbee? Like, how did you come up with a Frisbee? And the answer to that is pretty simple. For kids, the basic foundations of life and education are balls, books, and blocks. It's hands-on. It's not in front of a screen. It's not typing on a computer. It's something where they're physically active. And as I looked around the world and started thinking, what can I put technology into? I was looking at balls, books, blocks, all of these things, these toys. I was looking at toys. And one day I saw somebody throw a Frisbee at Liberty Park, and I was like, everybody can throw a Frisbee. It's interactive. You could play by yourself with hands-on games. You could throw it. My brain just started spinning. And from there, we collaborated with our team, and we came up with Zuby Flyer, which is a hackable Frisbee that teaches coding. It can connect online. It can be played in your home, in your car, just sitting down. It can be played outside. It can be played with 2 people, 1 people, 5 people, 10 people. It's a really interactive tool. And from there, yeah, we built out Zuby Flyer. We right now are working on curriculum. As we work with educators, that is one of the biggest things that educators are needing, is not just a consumer product, but they're needing curriculum to go along with it. And so we've made sure that our platform, our technology platform, interacts with the free software that's already being used in school. So you have block-based coding, which is Scratch, and then you have text-based coding on things like Arduino. And I have a video for you guys of the direction we are moving with our curriculum. So I will play that. Oh, nope. I think I might have to redo the sound. Let's see. Uh-oh. Yeah, well, that's it worked like just a minute ago. Yeah, helps. It's something that would turn into a generating model where it's recurring revenue monthly, where teachers who are already buying the technology platform can also buy the subscription model where they're getting the curriculum every single month. And I guess like long-term vision, right now a lot of the other products are for Cosmos, Sphero, it's these one-shot platforms. Yeah, okay. And I'm not talking revenue or education. The products right now don't scale into projects. And so what's cool about Zuby Flyer is that not only is it a toy that you can just out of the box, something that eventually kids, once those skills gaps close, can take loose electronics from like Radio Shack or a makerspace, and they could turn Zuby Flyer into an automated gardening system. And they could build a robust project that had nothing to do with the Frisbee. All right, and I'll show you this.
Meet Fuse and Zuby, two best friends who want to become the world's most skilled spacefaring adventurers. But before they blast off, they need to train for their special quest. Join them on their journey to space training as Fuse and Zuby meet new friends playing games like musical chairs, make beautiful colors, practice catching light, and so much more. Get ready for an all-new adventure full of exciting surprises with Fuse Play.
Actually, but you get the point. All right, so that's what we're doing. Yeah, hopefully I did a great job of explaining to you guys. I'd love to answer any questions you guys have about the process, what we're doing, anything I can help with. So, yeah.
All right, any quick questions from the audience?
Have you looked at the special needs? There's a couple new autistic schools going up in the Valley, high-end stuff, and worldwide in America, it's a big deal right now, and so these special needs.
You brought that up. That was a niche that we weren't aware of at first. People in the community started coming out. They're like, "Hey, like this would be great for me." And so we work. There's the Pinnegree Autism. I'm forgetting the name right now. It's in Salt Lake. But yeah, if there was any other connections there that you wanted to give, there are multiple people in the community inside of Utah and that we've been working with in our community.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
I can just. So what kinds of things can you program a Frisbee to do?
Yeah. So let me pull it out for you. I would say one of our biggest problems we've had is honing in on the messaging, especially for kind of a new technology and a new way of learning that doesn't really exist. And so explaining something that's high level in a simple way where like the average person who doesn't understand technology would understand, that's been a hard struggle. So yeah, what you ask is a great question. So this is the board. It's a PCB, printed circuit board. It's programmed with Arduino software, and it has lights, it has buzzers, it has sensors. It has a lot of different bells and whistles on it. You could even stack like an accelerometer or other loose electronics on there. And so what's programmed is this electronic board. And so there's games on here that you can play. So let's just say I wanted to, so if I push button 1, which is on the back, it's gonna move me through this color-coded game menu. And so let's say I wanted to play, we can play Catch the Light, or actually we'll play Pong. How many of you guys have played Pong? Like, okay. And then I push 2 to select the game. And it's stupid simple, guys. All you're gonna do is you're gonna bounce the light back and forth. See that button right there?
Yeah.
Push the button when this LED lights up. Don't miss it. Our record is 13. I'm gonna let you hold that. Let's see how far you can get. And so what's programmed is the actual board. And so you can snap the board back into the game. So one of the games is
Didn't break a record.
okay. it's effort. But yeah, so you're able to program the games, and you can just out of the box play with the games. But when you connect online, you can change all the variables of the game. So you could change the color of the lights, the sound that's made, the timing of the game. You could even build an entirely new game. The kids at the underwater robotics competition built rock, paper, scissors, where with the triangle, square, circle button, you're playing with a friend who has Zuby Flyer, and through Bluetooth, it connects, and you can push triangle, square, circle to do rock, paper, scissors like Rochambeau style. And then whoever wins, it will let you know. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question? Yeah.
Could you tell us?
One question.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll just ask you a
There you
question. You've been able to get this out there. I've seen like publications and all this different stuff. And for entrepreneurs that are out in the audience, how have you done this? How have you formed collaborations, et cetera? You just launched your product in December, but we've been hearing about it for a long time.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but when we first started out, my brother said to me, he was like, say yes to everything. And so I did. I said yes to everything, to everyone, every opportunity. And eventually that scaled to a point where, I think just, word spreads, and then you start getting more opportunity, and then you can be more selective about what you're doing. But I think more than anything, I think just being genuine and authentic in your relationships and who you're meeting with, I think that goes a long ways. And I know for myself, I appreciate that from people. And I think that when you are, reciprocity, do things for other people, they're willing to help you out too and champion you. I'm a big believer in championing community and other people. So, yeah. Okay.
So you called it a frisbee, but it doesn't look like something you want to throw.
Oh my gosh. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? I'm serious. I'm going to throw this to you.
Oh, okay.
So actually one of the first demos that my brother did, it really caught me off guard. Somebody asked that question, and he took it. You might want to move your computer because you don't want that to get hurt. My brother took the frisbee and he slammed it on the ground, and I said, Kyle, you ready? Yeah, so how many of you guys are ultimate frisbee players? It's actually, okay, so it's actually weighted perfectly for ultimate frisbee. I don't know if I can catch it on here. Yeah, so no, it's actually a great weight and everything for frisbee. Yeah.
And also, you might have mentioned this, it's Arduino on the back end, but what is the language they're learning?
C.
Oh, they're
C.
learning C.
They're learning C. And the code is all commented out. So within the code, it'll say, you have let's say, take for example, the RGB value. So red, blue, and green color. Next to that, it'll say, this is red color, this is blue color, this is green color. Choose a value between 0 and 200 and whatever. That answer your question? Yeah.
So this is the first semester of a CS degree that you're teaching.
Yeah, pre-K though. But that's when I talk about skills gaps. That's where it's what college students are doing this. As those skills gaps close, this is going to be pre-K through,
yeah.
That's what's happening. Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
It's been a long road. What would you say was your most difficult issue, and how did you overcome it?
Most difficult issue, and how did we overcome it? I would say, startup life is a series of failures that hopefully eventually leads to success. And so I think just realizing that those failures aren't failures, and it's an opportunity to change and grow and pivot. There's been so many pivots. I could talk forever about the pivots. But I think just realizing that and not letting it really get you down, and just keeping on moving forward is important. And as far as biggest struggle, I would say, and I kind of said it earlier, but messaging has been hard. It definitely is a new technology. At least how we're using the technology is new. And explaining that to people, where some people totally get it, some people don't. It's been hard to go narrow and deep with that to figure out which direction to go. Yeah.
So, first question from Facebook Live.
Oh, Brad.
Have you talked to any school boards about it or received school funding for this project?
Yes. So that is, when I talked about messaging, that's actually as we validated different things, we found that educators understood the best what we were doing, and educators were the ones that came out and were like, hey, we want this. And so that has been, that was the biggest validator we had, and that is what we focus on now, our educators and community educators like the Girl Scouts of America, American Indian Services, different organizations that are about education. Yes. And if they're interested, send me an email. All right. Yeah.
Awesome. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding you correctly. But so they program on the computer how whatever they want, all the little factors through coding. But how does that end up translating into the Frisbee and using the Frisbee itself?
So are you asking how it gets into the board?
Well, no, because he was playing the game like it was like a Game Boy or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
But how does it connect with the actual activity of throwing a Frisbee?
Yeah, so it's fusing online play with offline. And so you have a micro USB, it connects, and you're able to go into all of the games. So, and it is like a Game Boy. That's like when kids play, they're like, this is like Nintendo, it's like a Game Boy. The games are, that's what we intended. And so they're able to go into those games and manipulate the code to change the game. So they can change the game to their own desire. So it's not a game that they're playing that somebody else created, it's a game that they've created that they are playing. And so by going into the code, they can change, for example, you were playing Pong. They could change how fast it, goes back and forth. They could change which button they're selecting the game with, and then they can disconnect. It'll save their settings, and then they can play that game in the real world. Does that answer? Are you asking about?
No, I'm just saying about so I can see that they can change all the factors of that game, but for example, like with the Pong, I don't even understand how that even relates with throwing the Frisbee itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. So there's different elements. So hot potato is one of the games where the lights are spinning. I'm throwing you the Frisbee, and when the light stops spinning, you're out. So there's different elements and we wanted it to be that way, where you can a kid can sit in the car, push buttons, they could go outside, throw it, and they could play games, or they could play with friends going back and forth. And so some of the games don't relate to a Frisbee. It's kind of like a Game Boy, where it's like you sit there with it in front of you and you're pushing the buttons and the sensors and playing with it. But then some of the games are Frisbee, where you're outside playing it. So this is just sort of like the console. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long does the battery last, and how watertight is the seal, like if they're playing with it at the beach and such?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to give it to your dog, and you wouldn't want to throw it in the pool. It is water resistant. Like that was something we thought about. I have 3 kids, and I know how they can destroy stuff. So all of the buttons and everything seals really well, but definitely if it got thrown in a pool or that would be bad. And your other question, what was your other question?
How long does the battery last?
Oh, the battery lasts. Yeah, so when we've actually tested the battery, when we have had it running just 24/7, and that's with all of like the lights and all of the settings that suck the battery the most, it usually will last for 4 days, 3 to 4 days.
And how long does it keep its charge over time? Like those other rechargeable batteries where it gradually diminishes?
No, and that was, going back to struggles, the battery was a struggle figuring out the best battery. And that was something we did a lot of testing on. The battery is not rechargeable. It is a lithium ion battery, and it's something that we sell on our website so that consumers or educators can get it for less, because they're expensive batteries. And so I think it's like a $6 battery. But yeah.
So a couple of questions on the business model. I don't know if you've mentioned yet the cost of the Frisbee. And then you mentioned that people can purchase like a subscription to get more games or material.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious how many come out of the box and how much it would cost to get more, because you're gonna have to start balance if there's not enough gameplay out of the box, and I feel like I'm buying a really expensive thing to have to spend a bunch of money every month.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious on how you're doing price points.
That's a great question.
And also, is the only thing you're doing the lights? Like, is that the only thing they can change on there? I still don't understand how you can make a gardening tool out of it. So that's kind of a separate question.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. So as far as price goes for consumers, it's at $149. That's something we've played around with a lot. We started higher. I think we started at about like $179. And then just as we validated through different methods, got to like the $149 price point. And of course, you look at benchmarks for the cost of goods and everything like that as well to make sure that you're getting a good ROI. But so yeah, $149 for consumers. Educators, it's about $99, and then we have classroom packs and lab packs where the price goes down from there. And that's a good, we get a good return on that. And ultimately, though, as we grow and tie in the subscription model, we'd like it to be $99 and get a greater return from the subscription as opposed to the flyer. So we wouldn't be making as much on the flyer, but we'd make the difference in the curriculum. Does that answer that part of your question? That's something we're building out right now. Right now, we're giving the curriculum to educators for free because it's not something that is developed well. We have it beta testing in a few different places, Texas and Florida. And so, yeah, that's something that we're building out. And as we go into fundraising, that's what the fundraising is for, is to build out the curriculum. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Quick question. You're talking your ROI finance. Do you have endorsements or do you have sponsors in your VCs that have gone with you? I mean, for example, is the Gates Foundation putting money in this so they could subsidize it?
So we're legit bootstrapped. We raised a small round from friends and family in the very beginning just to pay for like the hardware and all of that. But the rest of that, like, we're a bootstrapped company. And as far as sponsors, we actually do have a sponsor program. We worked a lot with STEM Action Center. They've sponsored partnerships with American Indian Services. We have private sponsors that have, done stuff for us with Girl Scouts of America and different organizations, whether it's discovery centers, learning centers. And then the next thing that has just started happening is local tech companies sponsoring a lab pack for like their neighborhood school. And so we do that, yes.
Do you have endorsements yet on your product?
No.
Any school districts or?
I see what you're saying. We don't have specific endorsements. We did actually just this last week start putting together, because it's just been since December that educators have had this. We did put, and I've actually been putting it together, it's their personal endorsement of educators who are using it and how they're integrating it into the classroom. Yeah.
All right, I know we have some more burning questions, and we'll have time to ask questions one-on-one after. But we're going to wrap up with our final question, which is, what can we as a 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that if you know somebody who is interested in sponsoring a neighborhood school, if you are interested in sponsoring a neighborhood school, we'd love to talk. And I think beyond that, we're very interested in fusing higher ed with lower ed, which is something I spoke about earlier. So if you have a computer science degree, if you're interested in tinkering and coming up with a new project, come talk to me, because we'd love to see what you can build, and we'd love to bring that into elementary schools that we're working with.
Great, thank you so much.
Awesome. That was really fun. Christy and I were freshmen at BYU together, so it's really cool to see all the cool things she's up to these days. Okay, just a couple quick announcements before we hop into the panel. Let's have Amy. Do you want to come and do the first announcement?
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah. Is it okay if I pull the website?
Yeah.
If you had to guess, how many women-owned and run businesses do you think there are out of all the businesses in Utah, what percentage are women owned and run? Any guesses? 80%. 30? 20? It's 30%. So a third of all the businesses, actually 33%, are female owned and run. And you wouldn't know that based on the percentages of women you see at events like this, or based on the percentage of women you see represented in lists and awards. And so together with Braid Workshop and Convoy, is Trent here? Let's see, he was gonna come. We started an award. It's called the Sago Awards. We got the name from the sago lily, which blooms in mid-harsh conditions. It's a flower that thrives and is quite beautiful. And actually, it's nourishing. You can eat the bulb. So we love the name Sago Awards, and it has a lot of meaning. But it's also it's created to create visibility for women in business. So we want all women, everyone. How many women here are running their own business? Yeah, that's a lot. We want visibility into you and what you're doing. So whether or not you think you can win, it's free to enter. We'd love you to apply. And then everybody else in the room, we'd love you to nominate women founders and CEOs that you know. Let's bring some visibility to what women in Utah are doing in business and help lift them up and help create better community, better diversity of thought through the mix of people who attend things like this. and help me find new mentors and heroes through women who are sitting right here who I don't know, who are running cool businesses, and I could learn a lot from. So thank you so much.
Okay, Chad, do you want to come up? There you go. Oh, and let me just give a quick intro. Chad was one of our past 1 Million Cups presenters, and so he's going to talk about kind of a change from what he presented, but fun to have him back.
So I run a company called Aerolite, and I do online workshops for professional development. And so I wanted to announce that I have a free class that goes on every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And it's for anyone who is trying to, that maybe your goals in your career, your business are running away from you. It helps you to close that gap between where you're at and where you want to be. And we cover topics like communication, listening skills, building trust with people so you can connect your way to the goals that you have. We talk about time management a lot. And so if any of those subjects interest you, there's a free class that's online. It's every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And you go to aerolite.tv/workshops, and you can register for those classes. And it's through a Zoom webinar link, and we have it set up so it's like a virtual workshop. So it's not a passive webinar that you watch while doing other things. You participate like you would in any in-person class. And so these online classes are for entrepreneurs. They're for anyone in their career who's trying to get things going and they're trying to gain that traction. And so to register, you just go to Aerolite, so ARROWLIGHT, aerolite.tv/workshops. And you can register for that class. You can have the access link in your email. It's a 3-part series, the free class. Class number 1 is tonight at 7 p.m. And then class number 2 is the following Wednesday, and class number 3, and then it repeats every month. And you can join in at class number 2 and class number 3. You don't have to start at class number 1, but I do encourage you to come to class number 1 because you do get some introductory concepts. And so, yeah, if that's interest to you, just go ahead and talk to me afterwards. And I can give you my card, which also has the website link. And so, yeah, that's what I do, and hope to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you, Chad. Okay, next one. I just wanted to say thank you to a couple of our sponsors. Creo Brew has been a sponsor from the beginning, and if you have not had Creo Brew before, it's back there at the table, but it's basically a cocoa bean. They run it through the same process as kind of like a coffee bean, so it's kind of roasted and brewed. So it kind of tastes like a chocolate herbal tea. It's kind of the flavor, but they're really fun. A local startup that went on Shark Tank, and they're doing great things these days. So go try that if you have not before. Also, some of our other sponsors, you can see them listed on this banner in the back that Stoshin just made for us. So big thanks to Stoshin for doing that. And but Provo City, Downtown Provo Inc., and the Startup Building for providing this space for us. And the next announcement is actually from the Startup Building about Startup Weekend, another event that's being hosted here. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn the mic over to start with you folks.
We've announced this every week, but we've got a substantially different audience here today. Startup Weekend is 54 hours in which you can create a new business. You can come on your own, you can pitch any idea that you want, and then if you can get a team together, you work on that project for 54 hours. It is both an opportunity to do a project, and it's also a competition. And we've got some great prizes for the winning team. With me is Miles, who is from Montreal. And
yeah, so thanks for I'm really excited to be here. So I do Startup Weekend facilitation as a volunteer job, so I'm here to help all you locals to start a new company this weekend. So one of the first questions I like to ask is like, who has a new business idea or something they've been maybe sitting on for the last few months? Okay, so there's a number of you in the room, and so how many, like, how many of you have maybe had that business idea but haven't been able to find the right people to work on it with, or the time, or whatnot? Yeah, so it's a common issue. Becomes that I can't find the time to work on this, or even I can't find the right people, right skill sets to do that. So this is a place where Startup Weekend comes in really handy. Is you come to the weekend with that idea, and you can really share your idea and find the right people to work on that with you and help you build something really meaningful and solve a real problem, whatever you're trying to solve. So I encourage you guys to come out, check it out. It starts tomorrow night. So if you have time, it's tomorrow night. It runs till Saturday night. So it should be fun.
As you know, Provo has its first female mayor, and she has authorized a special discount that the city is underwriting. The city is helping us with a lot of support on this. And if you use Women's Day, discount code 1MC. So we've got you all covered. But it's a lot of fun, and it includes all the meals and all the fun you could imagine in 54 hours. Thanks.
Awesome. Okay, we're really excited about our panel. So let's invite Melissa up, and she can introduce all the panelists. Is that a word? Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, here you go.
Panelists.
Panelists. Okay. All right.
Okay. We'll have our panelists come on up. We are so lucky. We have got a stacked lineup here. You just take it. See here, we've got some waters there. If you want to grab those. And actually, I should ask you guys, would you be okay if we went a few minutes over 9 or 10? Yeah. Are you guys okay? If you need to slip out, you can. But I just feel like we're starting with not a ton of time, and we have such resources here. I think we would be remiss if we did not get a little bit more time to hear from them. So we have Jeanette Bennett here. She is, all of these are founders of companies, CEOs, and mothers, which is really cool. Jeanette Bennett is founder of the Utah Valley Magazine, Business Q, several magazines, Utah Valley Ride, yes. You got here from Christine Meir with Fuse Play. How rad was that? We got Susan Peterson, Freshly Picked. Many of you probably, your babies are walking in style because of her. And then we have Amy Stellhorn with Big Monocle. So we're gonna jump right in. Just to start out, I would love to hear just kind of a flyover, a quick flyover of from the moment, and I'm curious about this, the moment when you knew you needed to start your business through till now. And I know that's like a tall order, but just kind of how that's gone on in just a couple minutes. So we'll just kind of go down the line, and then hereafter we can jump around.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here. I love startups, and I love writing about them, writing about these panelists here. I became an entrepreneur when I became a mom. So I became a mom 20 years ago, and I had journalism because I thought I would write about business. But then when I became a mom and was trying to figure out my new life and how to have the best of all worlds and fit my Tetris life in, entrepreneurship was the answer for me. And so I started with some newsletters and things, and then Utah Valley Magazine was my first magazine, and that was 18 years ago. So it was the year 2000, we started Utah Valley Magazine. So it was really being a mom and wanting the best of all worlds and some flexibility that led me to this.
Yeah, so similar. I just had a strong desire to contribute to something beyond my home and family. That was fulfilling to me, but it wasn't, I guess, fulfilling all of me. And so that's when I started looking outside of myself, outside of my home and family for different opportunities. And it was really my brother who encouraged me and said, hey, I don't have a background in business. And so, but my brother does. And so he was the one that was like, Christy, if you want to do this, I can help you do it. And so we worked together and partnered, and he's mentored me through this entire process. And yeah.
Same. I started with my kids. I just remember like being in Target, like being pissed because I couldn't buy a shirt, and being like, I just want to go to Target and buy whatever I want. And so that was like kind of it.
Gotta get some money.
Yeah, get it, girl.
I was running the West Coast office of a design agency called Larson that was headquartered in Minneapolis. We were out in Menlo Park, California, and I was the second youngest person there running the team, and I just had this this moment. I was, I don't know, 12 years into my career or something, and had this moment of like, I can't do this for anyone else. It doesn't matter what they pay me. And so for me, it was just this like moment of like, oh, I'm done doing this for somebody else, and I'm only now motivated to do it for myself.
Awesome. Okay, I'm asking this question because I want to know how we can raise girls that become like you. Did you have any, and we kind of now skip around, if you have kind of an identifying experience or a person in your young life that encouraged you or that kind of gave you a start to thinking about business? So yeah.
All right, I love this question. Failure. I think that failure is something that we do not address enough, especially with young girls and boys too. And from a young age, I have a background, I was a concert pianist, and I failed a lot. There's a lot of failure. It's project-based learning and a lot of opportunity for failure. And that was something that my parents always embraced. And it was something that I was taught at a young age, and it's something that with my daughters, I ask them every day, like, what did you fail at today? And in turn, like, I share something, and like a legitimate failure, not like, oh, like I, failed at this, and it's not really a failure. It's like legitimate failures. It's important to share, talk about, and grow, learn and grow.
I love that. When I think about mentors, so I was a teenage girl, quiet teenage girl growing up in Idaho Falls, and my Mormon bishop came up to me at church and handed me a women's business magazine. And I'm sure I looked at him like, this is so weird. Why would you do this? But inside I was like, I can't believe he thinks I'm worthy of this magazine. It's interesting, I became a magazine owner, but him handing me that told me, A, it's okay to pursue goals and dreams, which wasn't the message I had received from everybody in my life, and B, that I was capable, me, Jeanette. And that moment was huge for me. And I was able to thank him for that before he passed on a few years ago, because that was a simple little thing. And so I like to do that for girls. I consider myself a cheerleader for young women. I have that on my little Instagram handle, because I think we need cheerleaders, and girls need to hear that they can do it, and it's okay to want to do it too.
Very cool. I guess jumping off of that, can you talk to us about the role of mentors in your development at any point? A particular mentor?
Sure. So I actually curate mentors. It's like a thing. I like seek people out specifically for problems that I'm trying to solve, or I just had this huge thing happen at Freshly Picked, and I called up my investors and I'm like, you need to connect me with someone who's gone through exactly this, because I feel lost and I need a roadmap and I need to understand like where I'm going. So I actively seek them out, and I think some people, my friend is always like, I can't believe you do that. Like, how can you just go to someone and say, you're going to work with me? But I think, I don't know, it's just how I do it. I have a breakfast club called, we just call it breakfast. But it's like 3 other CEOs and we just get together once a month and we talk about failures and good things that happen, and then something we need help on. And we're kind of, when we started, we were all at the same stage, and then some people have raised a lot of money and done a lot more, and then some people are a little bit further behind. And it's awesome because I can learn from them.
I kind of want to answer the previous question, if that's okay.
We can jump back.
Going rogue. I didn't have any examples of women who worked growing up. I think that's due to like the era. I was 6 months old in 1980, and so I'm on the oldest end of the millennial spectrum. And I had a couple aunts who were school teachers, and then a few that cleaned houses, on the side, but there was nobody who was actually working. And in fact, I remember I studied art in school, and I started as a fine art major, moved into graphic design. And I remember being in my dorm room, like in pain on the floor, because I was like, I just want to be a rock star designer. And my roommate was patting my head saying, no, you have to be a mommy. Literally. It was like that. And I had no template.
You can't be both.
Yeah, no, you have to be a mommy. It's okay. That's your life. This is what happens with women. And so, yeah. And I remember even going going to my counselor because when I started at Brooks College, we were the final semester that could only be 2 years. Then we had to move on. And I wanted to go to Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. And I was like, that's a huge dollar amount to spend on art education if I'm just going to stay home. That was my assumption. If I were just going to stay at home, then I probably shouldn't invest in my education. And I remember even going to my counselor at college and like being like, shit, is this wise for me to do? And he was sort of like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, no guidance at all. And so I just like followed my heart. At 19 years old, moved out to the Bay Area, got my first job, my career took off, and then like figured it out as I went. But there definitely wasn't any visibility for me.
I feel like that deserves. I know, for real. That's awesome.
I feel like I do feel like women today are seeing mentors, right? We're seeing other women in business. There's more visibility. There's more stories. There's more emphasis on women getting their degrees and starting companies. And so I think things are changing. And I love Provo Girls Day that just happened. So little 12-year-old girls are seeing women in business, and they're kind of thinking like, oh, I can be a mom and I can run a company, and those things aren't exclusive.
Great. Okay. So each of you have children. How do you make it work? That balance, and I love you said it doesn't have to be an or thing. Have kids or work. What are and I would love to hear some specific. Specifically, you want to go like tips or tricks for how you. And I know balance is kind of a ridiculous word probably for each of you right now, like that elusive balance. But what are some of your tips?
So my parents live with me full time. So I have 4 adults in the house. Then I also have a full-time nanny. And I have people that clean my house, and I have someone that does my laundry.
Outsource?
Yeah. No, here's the thing though. It doesn't, there's absolutely no, and it just depends on your level of comfort and like how much, like my ability to relax at home is directly reflected in like how clean my house is and how much it's done. So that's what I invest in. Some people don't invest in that, but there's absolutely no way I could do it by myself. My husband's traveling all the time too, so I just need all the help.
Okay, during the process of startup life, I became a single mom of my 3 girls, and I do have them full time. And I read this quote a couple weeks ago, and I actually pinned it to my Instagram because it just resonated so deeply. And that was that the feeling of being a working mother is a precise one. It's the feeling of working as if you don't have kids and raising kids as if you don't have a job. And that's the feeling. And having those 3 girls, daycare, preschool, and it sucks. It is what it is. But I think that what I try to do is just make the best of it. I do think that there's negatives, but there's also positives. I feel grateful that my girls are having an example of what I believe myself to be a strong woman. And I think that will have a positive impact on their lives. And I think that just having high levels of love and quality time when we're together is something that I make an effort to do. And it's hard when you're stressed out. Like it's not like an easy thing, but it's what we do so that we can do both.
Mine's been a mix. I run my business with my husband, so we've grown our family together and our business together, and that has given us some flexibility. We have had our kids work with us at times when they were young and sleepers. I would try and work that out and bring them, and they'd sleep in the storage room and in our office, which is carpeted and warm, so don't worry. There's a hum of a server, which is great white noise. But it's changed as the kids have grown. I have 2 kids when we started our business. I have 5 now, and it's complicated. And I do think my business has grown more slowly because of choices I've made to not be at work all the time. I think there's been some trade-offs there. But it's difficult. I'm not going to say that it's not. It's difficult. There's definitely things I've missed out on. Sometimes when I'm driving to work crazy and driving to the road and I see my friends out on a leisurely walk, I'm like, that looks nice. But then they probably look at my business and that looks fun. I don't have And so there's choices that we make, and there's different chapters of life. Now my kids are in school all day, all of them, and that's a new chapter and one that I enjoy. I'll just add something quickly.
I looked at, I had a really hard time after I had one child who's 8, and after he was born, I spent 4 months on maternity leave, and then had a big crisis about whether or not I should go back. Like so big that we sold our house because I didn't know if I was going to work anymore. We're living in Menlo Park, and it was like a very gut-wrenching decision for me. And one of the things that helped the most was realizing that during those 4 months, I was kind of going stir crazy, and I don't think I was my best self as somebody who was full-time at home and full-time in childcare, and that I went back part-time just to trial it. So I was gone for 4 hours. So I was literally gone for like one feeding and nap. So I felt like I wasn't out of the house very long. And I realized like I was a better mom after I did that. I felt so fabulous just getting out of the house and talking to adults and having some me time. But like, I think I'm actually a better mom because of that. Now I did go full time. That is hard. I've had a lot of travel this year. I've already been on 15 flights. My son is like, I need a mom who's home sometimes, which is heartbreaking. So I've started even doing day trips to the Bay Area, just in and back out, and trying to be home, at least for breakfast or at least for bedtime, which is taxing. But in the meantime, we found lots of people to love my kid. So, and I think if I think about my mom who raised 6 kids in very tight succession, all on her own, I do think that, and she did a phenomenal job. I do think it would have been great for her to have somebody else who could help care for her children, who could give her a break, who could love us. Because now, like our nanny from California, my husband, when we moved, is now the full-time stay-at-home parent, which has been awesome. And he walked away from a career. He was at NASA when we moved. Before that, he's an information security guy. He was at Facebook. He was at Stanford. But nice career. He's staying home just because it makes our lives better. It's like easier, and I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to the time when I can kind of retire early, and he can do that, and I'll be the stay-at-home parent. But my son like has people in his life from his full-time nanny and other people who love him and that he still talks to. And he's not a kid who gives hugs, and he hugs these people like crazy. So
yeah,
I think like the most important thing is it's so personal, and it's totally between like you and your support system, and what works for one person maybe doesn't work for another. And it really takes a lot of thought, and like each kid's different. We did stuff differently with my daughter than we're doing with my son. And I think like I'm like 9 years into my business with a full-time nanny, and I didn't get there right away. Like it took some time, and maybe that's not the right answer for everyone, and maybe it is. So I just think like move into it in a way that is like right for your family, right for you, right for your kids, and you won't go wrong.
Awesome. Okay, I want to ask a question specific to each one of you. So, Jeanette just got back from visiting for your 4th year, you said, the UN Council on the Status of Women. So I just wanted you to tell us about your experience. That was just a couple of weeks ago.
That's just last week.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been going to, it's the Commission on the Status of Women at the United Nations in New York. And I got involved 4.5 years ago when someone that wrote about Utah Valley Magazine said, I really feel like you would connect with this cause and this work. And I did feel drawn to it. It's like my soul needs to be part of this. And so I go back every year. It's a 2-week event. I don't stay for the whole thing, but women from around the world come, and many, many sessions and documents that are debated and finalized by the end of the 2 weeks that affect women around the world. And we as American women, we complain sometimes, and we show statistics that show how hard it can be, but women from around the world have it very much harder, as you know, and getting economic support. Some of the violence and lack of opportunities they have are really severe. And so it has been eye-opening for me to be part of that. Also, one of the things that is prominent back there that women get the message of around the world is for them to have equality with men, which that's a big word. Equality is that they need to be more like men, which means don't get married, don't have children. So there's a lot of messaging around that, that if you get pregnant, have an abortion because you will not be able to work, you will not be able to have a life that you want. And I like to share with them, you know what, I actually have 5 children, and I run a business, and I'm married, and that's a message that not a lot of women hear. that you're able to be a woman and do things that women do, have children and be married, and you can still get an education and start a business. And so it's been interesting for me to meet one-on-one with a lot of these women, but also just to see globally the messaging that gets sent around. So last year I took 8 young women with me. We did a presentation. They shared their experiences and their hopes and dreams as young women. Next year I'm hoping to do an awards luncheon where I award a Youth of the Year and all that, because I do think our young women coming up need to be recognized for the good that they're doing. So that's part of my soul work that I feel drawn to.
Very cool. Thank you. Okay. I want to ask, and actually I'm switching from what we talked about, but you have come into the tech space without a background in tech, and you're a woman in tech. And what has been your experience being in a predominantly male-dominated sector, coming in with, you don't have an IT degree and whatever? How's been your experience, and how have you plugged in so well? And I know that you have plugged in well.
Yeah. So I think part of how I've plugged in well is the fact that I'm a woman, and especially Utah right now lacks so much diversity that I think that a lot of men in the community that are in positions of leadership, they are actively looking for women that they can champion. And so I think that how is it being a woman? First of all, sometimes it's awkward. Like sometimes you get men that say things that they shouldn't or do things that they shouldn't, and that happens. That's part of life, but that's not unique to tech. I think that that's just the world. And so you handle it with class and move on. And then I think that the biggest obstacle I had to overcome was just confidence and being confident in myself, where I'm at, a boardroom full of men, and I'm not a man. I don't have a background in business or tech, and it's like, bam, like a confidence shooter. And I think realizing there was a moment I realized that I didn't have to have the competence needed, but that I could still be confident in myself and confident in my ability to develop the competence to be able to roll up my sleeves and contribute to that conversation. I also think that as a woman, I realized that a lot of my experiences, and I think Jeanette actually spoke to this earlier, just raising my kids and other things I had done in life, having a sick child, nothing like puts you in a position to learn more and puts, than having a sick child in the hospital that you're having to facilitate care and help. And so I think I developed a lot of skill sets needed outside of the business world, and just also having confidence in those and using those to my benefit. And gosh, yeah.
Okay, and yeah, this last a few months ago, you guys were at CES, which is a huge deal. So that's really exciting. You can tell us just a teeny bit about that.
Okay, yeah, well, and this is kind of what Melissa and I talked about earlier. We were talking about CES, and she was like, that must have been so amazing at CES, and this, that, and the other. And yes, CES is amazing. I would say that with Startup Life and to the audience here, go narrow and deep. And so CES, though there was some great opportunity that came from it, the biggest opportunities that we've had have actually come from smaller trade shows that are super niche to what we're doing, whether it's educators, integrating education. Those are the trade shows that have had the biggest impact and most revenue come in. Yeah.
Great. Okay, Susan, could you tell us a little bit about your experience on Shark Tank? And especially like behind the scenes stuff, like how'd you get in? I know there's like different avenues of getting in there, and what happened after that?
I mean, it's super I just emailed the producers and they got me on the show within 2 weeks. And so it's not normal. I remember people that were like, remember when we had to stand in the rain in LA at auditions? And I was like, that was terrible. And then I got a good edit. Like, it was really it was like 5 years ago now, too. So it was like a long time ago. And also, not much. So I'm going to turn that question into, also like you have 100 employees, maybe?
Yes, that was the next.
That was your next question. Well, we just moved we bought our manufacturer last year, and we moved them to Utah. They're in Linden now. We have a huge manufacturing plant in Linden. And we have, we're just at about 100 employees. And it has been incredible and also really, what's the word? Intimidating, because I walk in and they're like, who's that lady? And I'm like, I'm the Jefe. And they're like, okay. But it's awesome because you get to know all these people and from all these walks of life. And I read this quote the other day that's like, people are hard to judge up close, get closer. And I think like the closer you get to your employees, the more you understand them and the more you see how they can fit into your business and really build like such a better business because of it. So sorry to hijack your question.
Loved it.
It's just like I love Shark Tank, but it was so long ago.
Sure.
You know
so
what
much
I
has
mean?
happened.
Yeah, so much has happened, and we were at like I think 1 million in sales, and now we're like 15 million almost right now in the trailing 12 months. So it's like totally different business. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, so great. Okay, my mic's off, but Amy, if you mind telling us, so the logo for the Women's March that happened, first time was last year. You created it. How did that happen? And tell us about
that. I work with some big brands out in the Bay Area. One of them is Intel, and as we watched the event kind of taking shape on Facebook, I was feeling heartbreak. Just I think I've lived in a little bit of a bubble in that I haven't felt disadvantaged because I'm a woman, and anyway, which is really I've found like a bit of an anomaly. There's like I can look back on like one or two moments, and I just sort of was heartbroken at how women were being treated and spoken about, and female reporters were being treated, and it just seemed like, where am I? What have I been blind to this whole time? And I started wanting to do something, and at that same time, the head of global brand at Intel reached out to the organizers and said, "You guys, this is getting big. You got to get your stuff together on visually, like this is a legit march and it needs to look like it. Would you be open to me offering our agencies and relationships an opportunity to like help you out?" And they said, "Oh my gosh, please." And actually they said, "No, thanks, because we've got somebody." And then a week later, they're like, "Yes, please." And so I just got reached out to by Intel. They gave us an RFP, and I think 3 days to respond. They just said, "Hey, would you be interested?" So it was, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 agencies that jumped on board. We all did it pro bono, and it was like quantity over quality, all the best ideas. So we actually went through our creative in the ring with everybody else, all the other big agencies. And I run a small agency, and I know we were working with all the big guys too. And ours was the best, and so it got selected. And then I ruined my Christmas and New Year's doing production on all those art files and stuff. But it was beautiful to do something that created an icon for a movement and that went to every continent. I did a logo for Antarctica. So it was kind of a crowning moment and then maybe the first time in my life I actually, when you think like someone should do something about that or something, like I was the person who did something about that time, and that felt really good. And it's just like a huge honor to have done it and to have supported that.
So cool. So cool. Okay, we are over time, but I would love to turn it over just a couple minutes or a couple of questions. If there are some burning questions out there in the audience for our incredible panel here. Do we have any questions?
I just have a general question. For each of you, what's your exit from your business? Did you have a lifestyle company or looking for a big exit, or
what's the exit from our companies? I run a services business, which is not the best way to make a lot of money. And so I'm looking for, my exit will be, I've got a product in quotes that I'm working on right now that I'll be delivering to our clients in the broader world. And it's a little bit, it's still services, but it's a totally different approach that we've invented to tackling rebranding or kicking off projects or working on your culture and things like that. And we're calling it the Refresh Summit. And it's something that I think is, we're kind of combating the idea that all this kind of work has to take a long time and be really painful, that we can actually take 3 days, go off site, get the competitive advantage of getting out of the boardroom, go off site, thrash hard, get the project kind of to the summit, and then the whole project rolls down. And so my argument is that we can be done with a lot of really important things in about 30 days. And I actually just took the group from eBay up, and we just rebranded their HR group in 30 days. So super cool, super fun. I'm trying to productize that and make it more of a thing. I'm also looking to get out of services eventually, so I would like to exit this business and work on something else.
It's soon.
All right.
I just can't wait to like sell it all and go dark. Off the internet, off social media, be done, garden, and do laundry all day or something.
How long will that last?
I don't know, like a week.
So I think I might be in a different position than everybody else on the panel since it's a startup, and we've like literally have been developing for 2 years and just launched in December. And we're just like within the past few weeks started fundraising. I never started this to do a lifestyle business, and I will not continue to do this if that's what it turns into. So if fundraising doesn't come through and that doesn't happen, which hopefully it will, I may be looking for a job here in 6 months. And so yeah, that's the nature of the game. But yeah, I'm not in it for. I'm in it for the exit.
Yep, lots of money.
So we've had offers to purchase our company a few times during the past 18 years, and I've lost sleep over it and tried to decide, what to do. And what I've decided is that I'm not done with this. That this is still my passion. I still have things I want to accomplish with this, and so I'm not ready to sell. We have started lots of new divisions of our company. We have a products division now. We have lots of little things going on. So we probably will sell parts of it along the way. But I'm not ready yet. I'm still loving it. And so when I decided, when we were offered the money, I was like, if I sell it, I get some money. If I keep it, I earn money by doing it. So it's not about money for me right now. It's about what do I want to do with my life and my skills and all of that. And I just came back to, this is what I want to do right now. So I don't know, in 5 or 10 years, I might have a different answer.
Great. Okay, yeah.
What pointers do y'all have for getting yourself and your company, your brand out there and marketing it?
Okay, for Facebook Live, it's what marketing strategies?
So I never had like a public social profile before Fuse, but that was the first thing I did, just like validate, because I started an Instagram, which I have like a love-hate relationship with social media for sure. Twitter, Facebook, all of it. And it's, man, you post every day, you hashtag, like I worked it hardcore. And yeah, and so I did that. But I think more than that, there comes a point where it's just, I really, really, really believe it's about developing authentic relationships with the community around you. And because you could do all of the marketing and hashtags and all that in the world, but if you don't have good relationships with the people you're working with in your community, it means nothing. So I think just developing those authentic relationships. And not being afraid to ask, not being afraid to like go for the throat and just like ask for help,
So my experience has just been, we were word of mouth, business referral. I've always been that way. So I haven't had to market my brand. I've always just tried to keep up with the amount of stuff that's been flowing in, which is brilliant and blessed. But now that I want to shift models, I don't want to just do what we've been doing. I am going to have a strategy. And I've been watching my friends test out content on LinkedIn, and they're getting huge traction. LinkedIn's really trying to push their thought leadership and get people to post. So they're being pretty generous about making sure it spreads. So if you're looking for a little today tip, that'll probably change in the next couple months, but definitely hit LinkedIn pretty hard.
Yeah, and then add it to your admin. Just kidding. Yeah. No, these perfect. These girls, I don't have anything to add to you. No.
Okay. Yes, let's do one more question, then we'll wrap up.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you very much. This is an awesome life on each of you and for the things that you're doing and the example you're setting. I'm a father of an adorable little 3-year-old girl. She has my heart completely. As I look to help her, to nurture her as she grows, what as a father can I do to help her so that she knows that she can become like you when she's older?
What I do is I just try to give my kids leadership opportunities, and that seems like this big word, but it's actually like little things that I do every day. Like when they were saying, oh, I didn't turn in my homework and my book report's gonna be late, I don't talk to the teacher. I make them talk to the teacher, and I'll give them a script and I will tell them the things that they should say. And then I follow up with them and I say, what did the teacher say? How did it go? When is it due? What can you do with it? And it's just like little things, like having them order at McDonald's. I know it seems like the littlest thing, but it is actually like a leadership opportunity where you let them lead and make choices and take responsibility. And I think that's like the best thing you can do, because in my company, the people who are succeeding are the ones who are not afraid to go out and do the little things, the tiny little things for themselves.
My dad, I'm a daddy's girl. He's like probably one of the most influential people in my life. And even for where I'm at. But I would say there's one thing that to this day I've never forgotten, where I would tell him, I want to be a concert pianist, I want to be an attorney, I want to be a mom, I want to go to the moon, like, you know. And he was just like, you can do that. You can do anything that you put your mind to. And where other people would say, oh, like, maybe you shouldn't try to, and people said that, like, oh, you know, that's a lot. Yeah. My dad was always just like, no, you can do anything you put your mind to. And I've never forgotten that.
One of the phrases that I don't love, and I'm on a crusade to get rid of it, is when we tell girls that they should get an education just in case. I really don't like that phrase because, there are so many reasons to get an education. And it shouldn't just be that, oh, we hope you never have to be smart, you never have to use it. No, a woman who has an education will be happier. She will have healthier babies. There's, a happier marriage. She will live longer. She'll contribute to the community better. She will vote more often. She's more likely to run for office. There are so many reasons to get an education. And yes, most women will work, at many chapters of their lives, maybe all the chapters of their lives. A lot of women don't get married. There's that phrase just has no purpose. A girl should get an education because she is dang smart and she needs doors to be open for her, and because it's fun. Why would you want to not get an education? Why would you want to go work at the mall instead of get an education? There's just so many reasons. So if we could not say that to girls, to get an education just in case, that would be nice.
Also, we have some BYU MBA girls right here on the call. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we will wrap up. Thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you, our panelists. And feel free to mingle, get to know each other. We'd love to have, we see a lot of new faces here today. Love to have you come. This is every week, Wednesday at 9. Love to have any of you present that have, even from the idea phase, we have people from ideation up through, received a ton of funding. We'd love to have your participation here. This is a community event. We love connecting with each other. So thank you again for coming out, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Okay, go this way. All right, 1, 2, 3. Wait. No, you gotta go the other way. Just to the left, just to the back there.
Right? Oh, oh, I just got the middle.
Okay, back up a little. Is that good? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, snap one with this. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah. A picture?
Yeah, after you're done with yours.
We're good.
Oh, you're done? Okay, we're
Do you want it sideways or vertical? Vertical. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Really good.
Yeah. Just hair good.
You did it! Third time, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Like me. We survived.
If you do it twice, it's repeats.
That was me right there. What's up?
Yeah, because I feel like when you have a product, it's like, if you don't buy this product, then it's not going to help you. And so I don't think we get it, but we don't like talk about it. I'm feeling like everything else. We should do a yeah. We don't do that. Yeah. We sell more boxes.
I know I've tried doing it without.
There you go.
That's perfect. I hope
I'm not a but I just pointed it out right. He's got no, it's not just great. Given the choice of educating the girl, Mike just commented on that. Not here. Continue. I've educated girls. An educated girl, and that's not always true. I probably should think that. I've been around that 6 years.
I was pitching us to you.
Yeah. I wasn't. Okay. You got me thinking, did I get her name wrong? I have her name. Okay. Our recruiter because
okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to say hi. I've been to a bunch of things where you were speaking, but there's always such a crowd. I didn't want to like drown you in one more person.
No, well, great to meet you in person. Yeah. Where's your office? Currently, we're on the Sunday walk right now, but Friday our last day.
So we're right over here off the and we've been talking for the last couple months. I can rent the building out that I have here for more than we're paying. I own a building, and then I give us cheap rent. And I'm like, I could rent this to somebody else for more than I charge less, and I can pay less than I charge. So I win all the way around. And it'd be close to all of our clients. No, the location, and it's so much more expensive. I don't know why. A lot of the startups that we work with here I'll be Provo, largely because it's less expensive to go close to something. You would have thought the other way around. Anyways, yeah, I'll give you my card. It was nice to meet you in person finally. You know, I think you know Richie Scott. Right, yeah. So that's the first time I saw you was when you were at Creative Collaborative. I think it was here.
Proper here, yeah.
It was. All these people waiting to talk.
I just want to say, my name's Jenna. I run Max Alamo from Mac Room I was in my so nice. I'm glad I found out Creative Lab close about this book. Oh.
Are you in Provo?
In Orem.
Oh, perfect.
Super close. Can I just add your manufacturing to Linden?
Yeah.
To deliver.
Well, we're moving our HQ to Lehigh. Yeah, so excited. Yeah, me too. Well, I don't know. Like, I'm excited.
It's a whole different thing for sure.
Well, because I live in Provo.
Oh, yeah. Well,
it'll work out.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
Jenna?
Yes.
Jenna, do you have a card?
I do. But I just look up to and I think it's fantastic. And that, like, just your whole sewing moccasins in your garage, and I think it's fantastic. And when I was thinking of starting a business, I was going the sewing route. I've sewn stuff and created stuff my whole life, and somehow it turned into baking, and somehow it turned into these ice cream sandwiches that 6 months before I had no idea that would have ever happened. So it's been really, really great.
So they're gluten-free.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
That's about the only help factor they have going through that. But yeah,
we have some gluten-free people in our office.
Yeah, even the free companies, they're gluten-free.
Yeah,
so,
love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you.
Yes,
absolutely. I'm like, I've been fighting my husband. I'm like, when we have another baby, I am getting this freshly picked.
Yeah. We'll get it for you. We'll trade it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I'm Teresa. Nice to meet you. I have a nonprofit. We do help women who are incarcerated and transition out. Amazing. So I go to different tactics down and we're starting out to make a business like I posted, I didn't know guys about Tiny Home Business, but I watched the Tiny Home show a lot. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
And so I, during Christmas break, this last posted it. It has 7,000 people.
Everyone wants to know about it.
Yeah, they all want to come. So it's going to be this August.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's over at the University Place. But yeah, we're always looking for mentors.
Yeah, I'd love to help.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Let me write down my email for you.
Okay.
I didn't bring a card.
I have 3 cards.
It's just super easy. It's just Susan at freshlypicked.com. Oh, awesome!
What is it? So it's clothing.
No, it's baby muffins and diaper bags and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, I'll look it up.
Okay.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for sharing today.
Yeah. And let me know so I can help.
Okay. Thanks.
Hi.
So what's your name? Nice to meet you. Oh, thank you so much. I'm gonna run a restaurant.
Oh, he's right behind Yeah, that's right. Still getting used to names.
Totally awesome. I mean, what I'm really good at is like gathering. That's well, remember what
And start developing more extensions on the product line.
Okay, like, so like, I mean, some of our team is in Provo too.
We did all like the board design.
Oh, you know, so he didn't do, are you talking about the PCB?
Yeah, PCB.
He didn't do the PCB, so our CTO did the PCB, so he actually like hands, and is that what you guys do as input?
We do both.
Okay. Yeah, so our CTO, his name is Ron Henderson. He did the design, and I mean, he like hand soldered and everything. So yeah. Yeah, I appreciate the offer.
Yeah, I don't want to waste your time.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, you would pay.
We built this and
Yeah, if you made an introduction to their website, where's that? In Cleaver, yeah. If then we're in Salt Lake, if you wanted to make an introduction, you okay. I actually didn't bring any of my but I'll shoot you an email if you want to take an introduction. Super easy.